Hi guys, and welcome back to yet another wrap up. We have quite a lot of books here today. We have actually 14 books, which is my best month of 2026 so far. So let's get right into them. I actually did listen to quite a few audiobooks this month. I did have a book club book I was behind on. I got some book mail that had some deadlines, stuff like that I read. But starting off, this book I actually got from my library, but I absolutely loved it. This is Spy X Family by Tatsuya Endo, and this book was literally so good. Basically, this follows a spy. By name is Twilight, and he's the best spy out of everybody. And then his newest mission is to, within a week or two, is to get a wife and get a kid within a week. To have that kid then infiltrate this prestigious school where their target's son is going, because the target doesn't really get out much besides for school events with that son. So he then ends up adopting a girl. Turns out she's a telepath. He doesn't know this, but she can read his thoughts the whole time, so she's like, well, he is a spy. And then he ends up finding this girl to be his wife, who is literally an assassin. And nobody knows who anybody is besides the daughter, because she's a telepath, so she's like, wow, I have an assassin for a mom and a spy for a dad now. This is amazing. And it was hilarious. I read it in one day, sat down, and just could not put it down. It is a manga, and I usually don't read manga, but I absolutely love this one. I already went to my library since I read this, and I've gotten 4 in the series. Absolutely loved it. So that was a 5-star, and I absolutely loved Spy X Family. I do want to try to find the anime somewhere, but I'm not exactly sure where it would be. Then the next book I read was Behind Five Willows by June Her, and honestly, I can't remember if I read this month or last month. I think I read it in May. My bad if I got some of these mixed up, guys. But basically, Behind Five Willows follows a reader and transcriber and a writer in Korea or China at this time. There was a bunch of censorship going on, and you weren't really allowed to read or write or anything like that, and they're both doing this behind each other's backs. Well, not behind each other's backs, they don't even know each other. They're both doing this behind the government's backs, and this dude is the girl's favorite author to transcribe for and everything, and then they're talking through letters. They don't actually really know who each other are. They both have code names so that nobody actually figures out who they are, but then they end up having to chaperone. The girl ends up having to chaperone her sister and this new dude she likes, and then the author ends up having to chaperone his best friend, which is the dude that the girl's sister likes. I could have said names now, it would probably been so much easier to explain. But that was really good, and I really enjoyed it. It was kind of slow at times, but that is also just because it is a historical fiction, and I just usually don't read contemporary books that much. My favorite books are definitely not in the contemporary genre, but this one was still really good. And I had originally rated it 5 stars, but I'll probably say now, haven't really thought about it much, so I'm probably going to bring this down to a 4-star, but it was still really good, and I really liked it. If you like historical fiction, reading, writing, anything like that, I think you'd really like this. Then we have the oddest book I have read in a long time, and I'm not even really sure how to explain this one, so I'm just going to end up reading you the back. But this is My Wonderful Disgrace by Andrew Rice and Kate Rice. This is a arc that I got after requesting it from the publisher, and the publicist actually was really nice, and I had been requesting another book by that publishing house, and they're like, oh yeah, get that arc right over to you, or any other arcs you want. And so they let me pick out 2 more arcs, and so that was amazing. Those 2 arcs are actually both in this wrap-up. But My Wonderful Disgrace by Andrew Rice and Kate Rice. Let me just read to you what it's about. The school ball is days away, and Amy Middleton can imagine it all. A night of supreme perfection. She'll bask in the spotlight in her silver stilettos and designer dress, and when the music starts, Leo Prince will lead her onto the dance floor and into their shining adult lives. Or not. Told through journal entries, interviews, texts, and school newsletters, and touching on themes of privacy and social media, this deliciously dark comedy of errors slowly reveals a night gone terribly and hilariously wrong. And it was really weird. The whole time, what is even going on? It was really odd, to say the least, but I rated that a 3.5 stars, but I'm probably going to round down to 4 now, because honestly, I've rated other books 3.5 stars, and they weren't. They were way better than this, so I'm just going to go ahead and round that down to a 3-star. But if you like weird things dealing with social media, privacy, all this stuff, sure, read it. Just not my cup of tea. Then we actually have the next 2 books I read. I only own one of them, though. is the K-pop Confidential duology, and I was so glad that this was on my TBR because I've been wanting to read this, and for good reason. I absolutely love this book. I got the rec from Maya Venice, so thank you, Maya. This book basically follows a girl who is trying to find her place in life. She's been forced to do cello her whole life when that's not really what she wants to do at all, but she kind of just wants to sing, but she doesn't really stand up against her parents because she just wants to make them happy. Well, there's some K-pop auditions going on in her town, so her friends end up convincing her to audition. She's a terrible dancer, but she's an amazing singer, so she gets in. This is basically all about her training and up to her debut and all the terrible things that also happen to idols when K-pop idols, that's what they're called, but top trainees while training and everything, and it was insane. I loved it. It was stressful. It reminded me of Anne Liang book, where if you stop in the middle of it, you are so stressed out. You have to finish it to end the stress. So that's how it goes with the entire duology. But I read K-pop Confidential and K-pop Revolution, and K-pop Confidential was a 5-star, and then K-pop Revolution was probably 4.5, just because I was more bored and I felt like we were just doing the same thing over and over in K-pop Revolution. It's about the same girl kind of after this book happens, still following her journey and everything, but it was really fun and I really, really liked it, and this was a very unique, original idea, and I just had so much fun reading it. And as someone who loves to sing, it kind of made me be like, huh, I wonder if as an American I could become a K-pop idol. Then we have a couple of books that I read quickly, don't really think about at all anymore. We have 2 graphic novels that I read for my street team. We have Morgana and Oz, and we have True Beauty and Morgana and Oz. It's like a centuries-long fight between magical races and vampires and stuff like that. And then True Beauty, as a girl, figures out how to do makeup after being the ugly girl, and then she's stuck in a love triangle, and that's basically what that book was about. I honestly rated them both 3 stars. They weren't crazy good. They were just like, oh, that's fun. It didn't take me long to read. Read it probably 30 minutes maybe. Whoa. Then another book that I read was The Music of Us by Emerald Alexandria. And this was another book I read before the release. This is basically about a girl trying to save her cat cafe, and one of her childhood best friends ended up becoming this huge famous pop star. He's known as a bad boy and everything, and he never texted her after he got in that band, and they don't talk anymore. He just left all of a sudden, and now her cat cafe it's crashing. No money is coming in. They need to pay for everything somehow. All these bills. Her mom got in a car crash a couple months ago. They still need to pay for all of those medical bills. And then so she has the bright idea to invite her childhood best friend, who is now a international pop star, to come promote the cat cafe. And so the whole band ends up needing to come down, and the band was about to break up, so now they have to try to get the entire band back together to do this, so that the cat cafe can still keep its doors open. And I rated that one a 3.5 as well. It was really fun, but nothing like unique or anything like that. Also, as a dog person, it also wasn't my favorite because I am not a cat person. I'm a dog person. Well, actually, it depends. If it's like a really nice cat, maybe, and if it's a really nice dog, maybe, but it just depends. Then the next book I read, which I absolutely loved, 5-star, was Fahrenheit 451 by Ray Bradbury. And oh my goodness, this story was crazy. So basically, this follows a future where firemen basically burn books. That is their job. They fireproofed all the houses, and it is illegal to have any type of book. And you can get arrested, you can die for it. They just burn any books they find. Well, one time, our main character Guy Montag ends up bringing a book home one time, and then he's like, whoa, they've really not been telling us all this stuff, and trying to figure out why they don't want people to have books. And then it leads him on this whole journey. I absolutely loved it. The whole world is just pretty much stuck on the television. His wife calls the people on the television her family. That's the only thing she does, and it's crazy. So I absolutely loved it. It was so much fun. I actually read this just for fun, even though this is the type of book some people have to read for school. Somebody I know had to read it for school, but she liked it, but I really liked this, and I read this for fun. And it was just so cool. I rated that a 5-star. Then the last physical book that I read this month was another ARC. This is The Game of Oaths by S.C. Bandretti, and let me just tell you, if you want a book that is Caraval meets the Hunger Games, this is the book for you. It was so good. I absolutely loved it, and I ended up rating this a 4.5. Also, look at that flop. ARCs are just more floppy most of the time, but it was really good. And so, let me just read you the back. It's 1896. Beneath a hotel in the heart of Paris is the famed Le Cercle des Ombres, led by ringmaster and enchanter Jean-Pierre. But behind the dazzling spectacles, the circus performers are bound by magical contracts, also making them potential players in the annual Game of Oaths, an underground bloodthirsty tournament watched by the wealthy elite. 12 will compete, 11 will die. 17-year-old trapeze artist Fallon Sincera is out for revenge. After her sister ended up as one of the unlucky 11 last year, Fallon wants nothing more than to make Jean-Pierre pay for her death. When she's chosen to compete in this year's tournament, Fallon is not above playing dirty and forging unlikely alliances. But to be the last one standing, she has to determine whom to trust and whose motives to question. Vengeance on top of survival is a dangerous gamble, and in games like this, the house always wins. So this book was literally so good. I loved it. It was like almost 500 pages, but I flew through this, and I absolutely loved it. They're like Hunger Games, Caraval, Magic Caraval, with like deadly tournaments and trials and everything at Hunger Games. So cool. There was like a whole like betting party of like people would like sponsor the tributes in Hunger Games and all that. It was really, really good. And there was like slightly a love triangle. I'm not for sure. I'm really hoping there's like another book in this universe because I want to know what happens after all of this. So it was absolutely insane. I loved it. And so yeah, I absolutely loved it. And it was so good. So that is another 4.5 that I read this month. These were actually quite a lot of good books that I read this month. So just in case I did read this month, this is Boone Patch by Gary Boardman, an independent author. It was very independently published. There was a bunch of typos. There was a bunch of things that really didn't make sense. I didn't have any emotional connection to the characters, but overall it was a cool story. This kid could like jump through portals. He found a magical dog, and he's trying to find his parents who've been missing for many years, not like the number 4. But yeah, that was basically that. I ended up rating that like a 2.5 or 3.5. Finally getting to, I think, the last 3 books. We have I Could Give You the Moon by Anne Liang, which honestly, I think I hyped it up in my brain too much. I think I might be out of my Anne Liang phase, but her fantasy is amazing. I'm still trying to get the arc for her newest fantasy that comes out soon, To Dream in Darkness, and I'm so excited for that. But I Could Give You the Moon basically follows Chanel, which is like a big model influencer who is in If You Could See the Sun, which was Anne Liang's debut novel, I think. And it pretty much follows her. She ends up seeing this vision in this lake with one of her classmates who had been waiting her, and they're thrown together to figure out what is that. He wants that vision to happen. She doesn't. And so there's like whole underground fights in this one and gangs. So this one was actually really good, but still, it was only like 4.5 or 4 star, not quite a 5 star, but I still really liked it, and it was really cute. Then I read Dungeons and Drama by Christy Boyce, which was a book club book for like 2 months ago, but me and my friend, we've been forgetting to meet for book club, and we've been forgetting to actually read our books, because she reads kind of slow, but I usually am reading books I'm more excited about before I read that one, but I finally got around to it because I got the audiobook. It was so hard to get that audiobook. It took months for Libby to let me get that. But I ended up rating it at 3.5, and this is basically a girl who's a lot into theater. She ends up getting stuck working at her dad's gaming store, and there's like D&D players and all this. Then she joins this game of D&D, and she ends up having to fake date one of the players because she doesn't want to get embarrassed in front of her ex, who she said that she had a boyfriend in front of, and all this and this. And it was so cute, but it was hilarious and very unrealistic sometimes, but it was still really cute. And I ended up rating that a 3.5, and it was very enjoyable. I actually liked it. And then the last book that I read in the month of May was American Royals by, who's it by? I can't remember, and I can't see on this thing. Anyway, I ended up reading American Royals, and this was like a soap opera, pretty much. This was like a soap opera take on if America had royalty instead of presidents, and so it's like Washingtons and everything, but this is like the first generation who's gonna have like queen instead of a king, and all this huge drama going on, and that's basically it. Basically all that went down in that one was drama. and I ended up rating that a 3.5 stars. It was really good, but I don't know if I'm going to continue the series. I don't know if I'm that interested, so we will see. So this is all the physical books I read in the month of May. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment what you read last month. What was your favorite read? And I will see you in the next one.